So this service will now be recorded, and if you choose not to have your picture on the screen, stop your video feed. Our presenter this morning needs no introduction, but I won't let a little thing like that stop me. Since migrating from California and joining our congregation just a few short years ago, Rose and her husband Patrick have become very well known to us for their contributions in leadership. Rose chairs our Sunday services ministry, and also, of course, in service. Witness the staining of the porch pillars on our Vance Road home, the repair and the solar illumination of our vandalized roadside pulpit, and the Zoom amazing work that's been done by Rose in setting up our meetings and being in the hybrid services when we're able to have them in the building. If you'd like to get to know Rose better, you can probably find her at the happy hour on most Friday afternoons at 5 o'clock on Zoom. And today she has chosen to discuss a topic that clearly is very important to Rose and to us all: Mother Earth, climate change, and our UU principle. Rose?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I attended the first Earth Day on April 22nd, 1970. I was 15 years old, too young to drive. I took a bus to the events. I was not alone. 20 million people nationwide attended festivities that day. I remember learning that visible car exhaust was illegal. I was issued a list of ways to help save the earth, like recycling and using public transportation. This list was copied and distributed to everyone I knew. It was a truly astonishing grassroots explosion, leading eventually to national legislation such as the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the creation of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The first Earth Day was inspired by Vietnam War protesters. In 1969, Nelson, considered one of the leaders of the modern environmental movement, developed the idea for Earth Day after being inspired by the anti-Vietnam War teach-ins that were taking place on college campuses around the United States. Gaylord Anton Nelson was an American politician and environmentalist from Wisconsin who served as a United States Senator and governor. A Democrat, he was the founder of Earth Day, which launched a new wave of environmental activism. Gaylord Nelson earned a national reputation as the conservation governor by starting popular reforms in Wisconsin to clean up waterways, protect natural resources, create green jobs, and bolster the state's recreational infrastructure. Other countries know Earth Day as International Mother Earth Day. The Earth Day movement drove the creation of the EPA. My father worked for the Public Health Department as an epidemiologist and was transferred to the newly formed EPA in 1970. I remember making him a pillow with the EPA logo for his office couch. Even though we have had Earth Day since 1969 and the Environmental Protection Agency since 1970, things are getting worse. Here are the signs of climate change: higher temperatures, more droughts, wilder weather, changing rain and snow patterns, less snowpack, melting glaciers, shrinking sea ice, and thawing permafrost. That's not to say we aren't making progress in some areas. There are new standards for building design. They are called the LEED standards, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This is a certification program devised in 1994 by the U.S. Green Building Council to encourage sustainable practices, design, and development by means of tools and criteria for performance measurement. Projects pursuing LEED certification earn points for various building green strategies, across several categories based on the number of points achieved. A project earns one of 4 LEED ratings: certified, silver, gold, and platinum. The 7 components of a green building are life cycle assessment, sitting and structural design efficiency, energy, water, materials efficiency, indoor environmental quality enhancement, operations and maintenance optimization, and waste reduction. Native Americans have deep connection to the land, and they can teach us about our Mother Earth. We start with a prayer from Black Elk. As you walk upon the earth, treat each step as a prayer. Which Unitarian Universalist principles are impacted by climate change? There are 3. First, our 4th principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. There is a Hopi Native American saying, "The one who tells the stories rules the world." We, as responsible Unitarian Universalists, are compelled to seek out the true world situation and not be lured into mass media hype. The 6th principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. The Arapaho Native Americans have a saying, "Take only what you need and leave the land as you found it." We as UUs are committed to social justice and making the world a better place. And the 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web for all existence of which we are a part. There are several Native American philosophies that relate to this principle. From the Sioux, the frog does not drink up the pond in which he lives. And from the Tuscarora, man has responsibilities, not power. Chief Seattle said back in 1854, "Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect." Back in 2007, the Reverend William Sinkford, president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, spoke at the UU Witness for the Earth rally in Portland, Oregon, as organized by the UU Ministry of the Earth. This is what he said: "Earth is our home. We are part of this world and its destiny is our own. Life on this planet will be gravely affected unless we embrace new practices, ethics, and values to guide our lives on a warming planet. As Unitarian Universalists, how can our faith inform our actions to remedy and mitigate global warming and climate change? We declare by this statement of conscience that we will not acquiesce to the ongoing degradation and destruction of life that human actions are leaving to our children and grandchildren. We as Unitarian Universalists are called to join with others to halt practices that fuel global warming and climate change, to instigate sustainable alternatives, and to mitigate the impending effects of global warming and climate change with just and ethical responses. As people of faith, we commit to a renewed reverence for life and respect for the interdependent web of all existence." In 2006, there was another statement of conscience on the threat of global warming climate change. As global warming and climate change is resulting in more extreme weather, drought in some areas, and flooding in others, poorer peoples and communities of color are often the most affected by these disasters, even though they contribute the least to their causes. Our Unitarian Universalist spiritual values call us to act on the personal, local, and national levels to adopt practices that will reverse global warming and climate change, and to do so in ways that are just and equitable. The UUA is not fighting alone. They are coordinating with the United Nations. Here's information about the Climate Justice Initiative at the United Nations. We support the UU climate justice movement by collaborating with other climate voices at the United Nations in order to support climate change mitigation, adaptation, and policies to protect communities under threat and to ensure that our planet is viable for us and future generations. There can be no long-term solution to human rights concerns without effectively dealing with environmental justice issues. This includes climate change. Climate change makes a tangible impact on human survival on Earth. It is interconnected with many social justice and environmental issues, such as good health, well-being, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, and reduced inequalities. Today's world needs to address issues including employment and decent work for all, social protection, youth, education and culture, health and population dynamics. Local efforts will not be enough to solve them. Global action is needed, which can only be coordinated by the United Nations. Paula Gunn Allen of the Laguna Pueblo tells us, for Native Americans, every day is Earth Day. Traditionally and culturally, it is a duty of Native Americans to care for Unsamaka, Mother Earth. We are the land. That is the fundamental idea embedded in Native American life. The earth is the mind of the people, and we are the mind of the earth. Perhaps the most profound words are from Chief Seattle in his treaty oration of 1854. Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy event of days long vanished. Even the rocks, which seem to be dumb and dead as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, thrill with memories of stirring events connected with the lives of my people, and the very dust upon which you now stand responds more lovingly to their footsteps than yours, because it is rich with the blood of our ancestors, and our bare feet are conscious of the sympathetic touch. Sometimes you need a poem to express how you feel about Mother Earth. Here is a poem about Earth Day from 2018 by Kelly Roper. Every day is Earth Day, or at least it should be. We should take steps every day to save our planet. Don't you agree? Try walking when it's practical and skip driving a car. It will help cut down emissions and raise air quality by far. Reuse, renew, recycle. Think of how much you throw away. Our earth can only hold so much trash. One day there'll be the devil to pay. And when it comes to littering, it's not enough to clean up after yourself. Leave places better than you find them and pick up litter left by someone else. Don't spray your garden with pesticides. Protect the birds and the bees. Choose natural ways of deterring pests that won't carry poisons in the breeze. These are easy things we all can do to protect for future generations. If we continue to ignore the warning signs, we'll face sad and irreversible ramifications. Here's another poem cautioning us about the future of us all. Mother Earth's Gifts by Kelly Roper. Mother Earth gives us her gifts for all to share. She gives them freely, yet she's still aware that things are changing, perhaps for the worse. How much more can she give if our future is cursed? It's way past time to put Mother Earth first, to clean up the water before we all thirst, to clean up the air before our lungs sicken, to renew the soil and feel it quicken. How long until the point of no return? How much longer until we all finally learn that to this task we must all rise and stop abusing Mother Earth before she dies? While climate change is damaging the planet on the global scale, there are pockets of hope. Uruguay has made a drastic shift in clean energy over the last 15 years. 97% of its energy comes from renewable resources. In Colombia, 900,000 trees and 60 acres of gardens were planted in the last 2 years, creating a green corridor that drops summer temperatures by 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Suriname, located in the northern coast of South America, is 93% forest and traps more greenhouse gases than it releases. Belize has a successful coral restoration project by planting fragments of living coral on the damaged reefs. Spain's almonds were failing, and to help, they started growing grasses under the trees like they did in ancient times. Now, I'm not going to stand here and whine about the climate without giving you an action plan. Remember what Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King told us. Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through with continuous struggle. Continuous struggle. That's what it's going to take, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to help Mother Earth because she is ourselves. There are many ways an individual can help: voting, recycling, using mass transit, or just buying a plant. Some links are in the chat box. Now I'd like to hear from you. How do you feel about our Mother Earth, and how can we help her heal?